Welcome to XFO Intelligence, where we decode the hidden patterns that shape wealth, power, and civilization itself. I'm your host, and today marks the beginning of something extraordinary, a new series we're calling The Artifacts of Wealth. Over the coming episodes, we'll explore how the objects we value most profoundly shape not just our portfolios, but our consciousness, our cultures, and the very architecture of human civilization. Today's inaugural episode is titled The Architecture of Immortality: How Wealth Artifacts Shape Civilization and Consciousness. If you're managing a family office, advising ultra-high net worth clients, or simply fascinated by the deeper mechanics of value creation, this series is designed specifically for you. We're going beyond the surface metrics of appreciation and liquidity to understand the fundamental forces that create lasting worth. Let me ask you something. What transforms a simple object into a vessel of civilization-spanning value? Why does a canvas with pigment command more respect than entire city blocks? Why do families guard certain possessions for centuries while discarding others within decades? Throughout human history, our most profound relationship with value has not been through abstract numbers in ledgers, but through tangible objects that condense meaning, power, and permanence into physical form. These wealth artifacts, from the gold coins of ancient empires to the digital tokens reshaping our modern landscape, represent something far deeper than monetary worth. They are the physical manifestation of our collective aspirations, the bedrock of cultural memory, and the silent architects of social structures that span generations. Through what we call deep augmented thinking, we can identify three universal principles that govern these artifacts of significance. First, the principle of value condensation. The most powerful artifacts compress enormous economic energy into minimal physical space. Consider a Renaissance masterpiece. It embodies thousands of hours of irreplicable skilled labor, centuries of historical narrative, and the cultural prestige of an entire era. This concentration creates what we might call unforgeable costliness, the impossibility of recreating the artifact without incurring similar or greater costs than its original creation. This is why, as family office managers, you often see clients drawn to art, rare manuscripts, or vintage wines. These aren't just alternative investments. They're vessels of concentrated human achievement that cannot be replicated by any amount of capital alone. Second, the principle of social consensus. Value is not an intrinsic property, but emerges from collective human agreement. The Mona Lisa's status stems not merely from Da Vinci's brushstrokes, but from centuries of institutional validation, scholarly attention, and public fascination. This consensus creates a self-reinforcing reality, where recognition begets further recognition, building network effects around cultural significance. For those advising wealthy families, understanding this principle is crucial. The same painting can be worthless or priceless, depending entirely on the social consensus surrounding it. This is why provenance, exhibition history, and scholarly attention matter as much as aesthetic merit. Third, the principle of permanence and transferability. True wealth artifacts must withstand the test of time while remaining transferable across generations. Gold's chemical inertness made it the historical standard. Contemporary art's durability depends on conservation science and climate-controlled environments. The ability to smoothly transfer ownership through markets, inheritance, or diplomatic exchange is what separates personal treasures from civilization-scale stores of value. But here's where it gets fascinating. Wealth artifacts exist within a complex ecological system where different forms of value interact, compete, and transform. At the foundation lie what we call the elemental stores: gold, precious gems, rare earth elements, whose value derives from physical scarcity and universal recognition. These form the bedrock upon which more complex value structures are built. Above this foundation exist the cultural catalysts, artworks, manuscripts, historical objects, whose worth emerges from their connection to human achievement. A Shakespeare First Folio or a Gutenberg Bible contains negligible material value compared to its cultural significance. These artifacts serve as focal points for collective memory and identity. The most sophisticated layer comprises institutional instruments, financial securities, intellectual property, digital assets that represent claims on future value creation. A stock certificate for a technology giant embodies the anticipated productivity of thousands of employees and billions of dollars of infrastructure. But beneath the apparent stability of valuable objects lies constant flow and transformation of worth. We observe what I call the Prestige Cascade, where ownership of significant artifacts confers social status that creates economic opportunities, enabling the acquisition of further prestigious objects. This virtuous cycle explains why wealthy families pursue art collections with passion that transcends financial calculation. There's also the Canonization Current flowing through cultural institutions. When museums acquire certain works or scholars dedicate attention to specific artists, they effectively anoint them with lasting significance. This institutional blessing creates cultural immortality that often translates into extraordinary valuation. Most powerful is the Scarcity Engine, a self-reinforcing mechanism where perceived rarity increases value, prompting greater seclusion and preservation, which enhances perceived rarity. This explains why some of humanity's greatest treasures remain in private vaults rather than public view. The very act of hiding them increases their worth. Beyond economics, wealth artifacts serve profound psychological and social functions. They act as anchors of identity for families and institutions, providing continuity across generations that transcends any individual lifespan. They function as bridges across time, connecting us to past civilizations and future generations. Increasingly, they serve as tools of consciousness, shaping how we perceive value itself. As we move further into the digital realm, the nature of wealth artifacts is undergoing its most significant transformation since the invention of coinage. Digital artifacts challenge traditional notions of scarcity, ownership, and preservation. But the fundamental principles endure, even as the forms evolve. Wealth artifacts form what we might call our civilization stack, the layered system of value storage that enables human cooperation across time and space. From gold in central bank vaults to data in cloud servers, these artifacts are the physical infrastructure of human achievement. They remind us that value is ultimately a story we tell together, a narrative woven from physics, history, psychology, and social agreement. The most important artifacts are those that tell the most compelling stories, connect most deeply with human aspirations, and best withstand the corrosive power of time. In our next episode, we'll dive deep into the Medici algorithm, how Renaissance banking families used art patronage as a sophisticated form of social and political capital accumulation that modern family offices are rediscovering. If you found value in today's exploration, please take a moment to like and share this episode. Your engagement helps us reach other sophisticated investors and advisors who appreciate this deeper level of analysis. Don't forget to subscribe to XFO Intelligence to ensure you never miss an episode of the Artifacts of Wealth and our other exclusive content designed for the world's most discerning wealth creators and stewards. Until next time, this is XFO Intelligence, where we decode the patterns that shape tomorrow's wealth landscape. Thank you for listening.